The paradox of existential crisis or threat actually allows for the deepening or the urgency of an invitation to live consciously. And that doesn't diminish the reality of existential threats or crises. It actually allows you to be able to create a day that is within your control. And let me explain that further. So I have people in my comment section that are saying, finally at 35, 45, 55, 65, even 75, I finally felt ready to start experiencing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I finally felt enough courage to start living this way. I finally feel like, I can spread my wings. And in a myriad of ways that keeps showing up in my comment section throughout any subject that I'm talking about, to which I will say, of course, the threat is real. So I'm not diminishing any of that. However, within that also comes a deepening of an invitation of how we can live our life. So what is happening is most people live their life believing that they have quantity. The illusion is that no one ever knows where the quantity of your life will end. So in the reality of what we have is the presence of now and the quality of development of life we want. So here's what I want you to do. And this is not for people that have an excessive amount of anxiety about death and dying or OCD about any of that. For those people, I say you have to work with a therapist one-on-one. And also you can take this prompt and apply it to what do I want to start experiencing today, in whether that's a hobby or an activity or how I want to start feeling, and then start projecting that within a week or 2 weeks. You can actually increase your threshold for not just decrease the anxiety or the OCD about it, but also increase your threshold of the probability of more time. But for the other people that don't have an excessive amount of anxiety about that, what I want you to do is a journal prompt, which is, if today was my last day on earth, what are the things that I would regret not doing, not saying, not feeling, and not becoming? Okay, so you're looking at what are the things that I wish I would have experienced, said, felt, and been. And all of those things, believe it or not, will intersect. So you'll get to a couple of different variances of things you can apply and do. Some of them will be very clear cut. These are the things I'd wish to do. Other ones are going to have overlapping areas to where you can say, okay, if I have a little bit of action in this direction, I'll be able to assimilate those big areas. So now the revelation of that journal prompt becomes your roadmap. Those are the pebbles of things that you begin doing, whether it's starting the process of a hobby or it's starting the process to cultivate that feeling. But that becomes your pebbles along the way for quality of life. And then in that, your brain will start creating a more trajectory of how quantity is more probable, because you'll start looking forward to doing those things next week too, which will then reduce your anxiety about the actual existential crisis. And even though that's out of your control, what is within your control is creating a timeline to where your brain can predict that there will be a probable experience or probable becoming or probable any of that longer than that overwhelming fear that says the sky is falling now. So with the threat of existential crisis, with the reality that we do not know quantity of time, is no longer the I want to spread my wings, but it's actually a more conscious invitation to start flying. Because also remember, in the reality of facing things that you are afraid of, World War III or any of that, then things like taking a singing lesson or asking that person out on a date or doing those things is nowhere near as terrifying. Most people believe that if they were given like a terminal illness, then it would radically change their life. When in reality, not just in my work with people that were actively or are actively dying, and also in the research of this, it actually means that people spend more time loving who they want to love, doing what they want to do, and even appreciating the things that will set up a tomorrow for themselves or for other people. So people will actually show up to work and care more about the work and also care less about the work, but they understand the reality that the work provides them with money that will get them to pay their bills in a couple weeks, or that will get them to be able to have a future for their children or different things like that. It doesn't mean radical reform on everything. It usually means a deepening of what matters and genuinely not giving a fuck about what doesn't. And when people look back on their best of times, a life review, it is never what they have accomplished, and it is always the depth of the moments that really move their hearts. So it's like a lover's embrace or a moments of children laughing, or not the climb of a mountain, but the view from the mountaintop. The moments that matter, not an infinite amount of moments. The moments that matter. So make your moments matter.